Hello, everyone. I'm Michelle Pacansky-Brock. I am faculty mentor for online teaching and learning with the California Community Colleges, CVC and @ONE. We're a statewide initiative focused on increasing access to high quality online courses for our students. And I get the pleasure to be part of our professional development team @ONE, the online network of educators. And this session, Developing Your Teaching Presence with Bumper Videos and Microlectures, is part of our Fall into Humanized Online Teaching, a Pathway to Equity series. This is the and we're excited to jump into this today. So we are going to jump right into our lean in phase of the session today with our presentation. And then after that, you are going to have an opportunity to choose between actually 3 pathways. I don't have the third one on there, but I'll mention this. I will be leading a demo of Adobe Spark video if you're interested in learning more about that. And you'll also have some time to create, or at least get started with creating a video on your own. Or if you choose to learn more about Screencast-o-Matic, you'd like to see how that works and have some time to play around with that, you will have the option to follow Sean Valcarcel, who will be leading that demo. If you're someone who just wants to learn on your own in quiet, we're also going to encourage you to choose that pathway. So that'll be a third option for you. That's also a good option if you already know Spark and Screencast-o-Matic and you just want some hands-on time. And then we're going to come back together for our discussion, our cool down phase, and we'll also have an opportunity for you to share a reflection about what you've learned in this series. So as always, we are anchoring our sessions in equity. This is a quote that we used to kick off our series back in September, and it's something that we want to use as our guiding light. An equity-minded practitioner, which is what our goal is, commits to seeing and removing barriers that disproportionately impact students from racially, ethnically, and other minoritized groups. So we have been looking at equity gaps, particularly in the area of race and ethnicity, but we're also acknowledging all of the different ways that power in social environments minoritize individuals with different identities, and recognizing that identity is intersectional, right? So the more of these minoritized identities that one has, the more we fall into the margins. And so we want to look for ways to create inclusive learning environments online, and that has been the focus of this series. One of the things that we know is a barrier comes from research about online community college students. There was a study back in 2016 that looked at that sought to understand which instructional design aspects of a course affect student engagement and learning the most. The number one thing was the quality of the interactions between the instructor and the students, not the quantity, but the quality. And specifically, quality, as the students defined it, had to do with having an instructor that they could sense cared about their learning. And this is one of the reasons why we have been emphasizing care and high-touch interaction so much through our previous sessions. More students in that study, however, did not experience quality instructor-to-student interactions. Most students expressed disappointment when they sensed a lack of caring from their instructors. In those cases, they reported the feeling like they had to, quote, teach themselves. And the reason I'm stressing that today is because the focus of our session today is about developing our teaching presence, being there to ensure that we're doing the same degree of teaching that we would do in our classroom, but in a different way, okay? I'm not going to read through this whole slide, but it's really intended to be a reminder about some of the ways that we've highlighted that we can convey care online. And it definitely comes through in what we say and how we communicate with our students, but it also comes through in different ways, like course design. When students come into your class, do they feel completely lost and not know how to get somewhere? That does not convey care. Gradings, is your grading transparent? Are rubrics used? Is effort and growth rewarded? Are course materials written with supportive and growth-minded language? Do they value diversity as an asset? Do they send that cue? Are they accessible? Are policies flexible? The feedback that is given, first of all, is there feedback? And if there is feedback, hopefully, is it framed with high standards? Going back to our WISE feedback session, does it validate students' identity? And then instructor to class communications, how are we fostering communications out to the class? What do those communications look like? Are they varied? Do they include opportunities for students to see you and hear you? The verbal and the nonverbal communications that, as we noted last time, are so important in culturally inclusive communications. Those from high context cultures really value how things are being said and who's saying them over what's being said. So if we leave that out, that can be problematic when we're teaching culturally diverse students. And then finally, instructional materials through what you teach. And that's what we're going to unpack here today. So this is a slide we've been building onto every week, thinking about the online student experience as it rolls out over time and really honing in on this high opportunity zone in week 0 through the end of week 1. And this is where we've been targeting our humanized elements that you've learned over the past couple of months now. And today we're bringing into the fold 2 more elements, bumper videos and microlectures. And all of this is couched in culturally relevant and responsive teaching online. So when we start a conversation about video, we have to acknowledge that everybody comes into this from a different point in terms of the learning curve. For those of you who are brand new to video or somewhat new to video, it's important to keep in mind that there are 4 steps to creating a video. The first step is recording. That involves selecting the tool that's appropriate for the content, what it is that you want to show. It includes recording, and it also includes exporting your video to a video file that you save to your computer. And then the next step is hosting. Where's that video going to go? It does not go in Canvas or your learning management system if you use a different learning management system. Canvas or another LMS is not a video hosting service. It'll weigh down the learning management system and you'll hit your storage capacity like that. So you need to find an external place to host your videos, and there's lots of options. Some of them include YouTube, Canvas Studio, which is inside of Canvas, but it's a separate hosting tool, and Tech Connect Cloud if you are in the California Community College system. The next step is captioning your video with accurate captions that include punctuation, capital letters, and appropriate word matching. And there's lots of reasons why we need to ensure that we have captions on our video that are accurate. It is because we want to ensure that our content is accessible to the most students possible. And that includes our deaf and hard of hearing students. It also includes our students who are looking at videos in noisy environments. And that's something that's very common in our mobile age. Lastly, embed. Embed is the magical step that allows you to take that externally hosted video and put it in your course. And that way the weight of the video is not actually leaning on Canvas, right? It's like a little window cutout to your video that's embedded somewhere else. And so you want to use that embed feature in the rich content editor of Canvas to copy the embed code from your hosted video. When we're creating videos, we want to keep a few things in mind. I want to encourage all of you to think outside the box and be creative. When you're teaching online, it feels very normal to just want to recreate what you do in your classroom. But there's so much opportunity to do things differently. This is an opportunity to bring your world into your teaching. When you teach online, you're no longer confined to a classroom. So think about your instructional videos as huge opportunities to humanize your teaching. Don't be perfect, be you. I know that's hard. Practice selective vulnerability. That's a phrase that Zaretta Hammond uses. It's one of her trust building mechanisms. Selective vulnerability, think about what you're comfortable sharing with your students. You don't share everything, but what are you comfortable sharing? And how can you employ who you are in your teaching? That is how we strive towards being more culturally responsive in our teaching. Focus on what your students should be able to know or do by the end of the video. And be concise, keep videos short. If there's too many things in that video that's making it longer, like too many learning objectives, too many things that you're expecting your students to do, can you break that into 2 or 3 shorter videos? That's a much more accessible way for you to create videos, because then when you have to redo something, it makes your life a lot easier too. And there's one thing I didn't include on here that I want to mention. Don't include dates or timelines of any sort. Put those in text in Canvas, right? Because those are things that are going to change frequently. So think about that too. Center your growth mindset. I promise it gets easier and will feel more comfortable with time. So let's talk about this thing called a bumper video, this weird term. The word bumper video comes from the idea of a bumper, a movie bumper, like a little clip of a longer movie that kind of summarizes and captures the storyline of the 1.5 hour movie in just a minute or 2. So that's where the concept comes from. It's very brief. It's a 1 to 3 minute video on a laser focused topic. Some topics that, categories that you might want to think about would be like using a bumper video to clarify a sticky topic. So think about the topics that your students learn about. Maybe that's a good opportunity there. To introduce a new project or assignment or module, or even to introduce yourself. You can use lots of bumper videos in your class. And for me, they're super fun to create. They're visually oriented, which means you use minimal text. They're voice narrated, so students look at visuals and listen to your voice. You can also include very brief video clips of yourself or of other things. You'll see some examples. And it's set to music. The music should be at a significantly lower volume than your voice so it doesn't compete. The recommended tool is Adobe Spark Video, and we are going to be giving you an opportunity to see how Adobe Spark works. It's free. And if your institution has an Adobe site license, you can actually log in with your institutional credentials and you will get a little bit of an upgraded version. I'm going to be demoing the free version because I want everyone to feel included, and the free version is great. I actually use it all the time. So again, when you're using Adobe Spark, you'll want to select images and icons from the Adobe Spark database. It wraps all that stuff inside for you. You can also pull in images or videos from externally if that's something that you need for your content. But again, the videos need to be brief, like 10 to 15 seconds max. It includes a licensed music library, so you can pull music right from their library and use it with permission. There are 2 recording options. You can log in and record from your computer, or you can use the mobile app, which does now finally come on. It is available for iOS Apple iOS devices like iPhones and iPads, and it's also available on Android. It does require you to at least have a free Adobe account. And the captioning is something that you need to do somewhere else. It isn't actually currently provided inside of Spark. So the workflow is to record in Spark, download, and then host somewhere else. And that's where you do your captioning. So let's look at a couple of examples. If you may feel skeptical that you can actually convey something meaningful in 1 minute, I'm going to show you a couple examples that I think are pretty wonderful. This first example is from Trishana Norquist, who's a biology faculty member at Southwestern College. And this video by Trishana is, I think, a wonderful example of being culturally responsive and integrating selective vulnerability. And I think you'll understand why. And I don't think I shared my computer sound. I'm going to keep you in I did, because I played the music. Okay, here we go.
Let's do a quick review of chemical bonds. Chemical bonds are the attraction molecules have to each other and the various ways they share electrons. Let's take this electron, for example. Their name is blue. In a nonpolar covalent bond, molecules are able to equally share blue. In a polar covalent bond, one molecule will have a greater pull, leading to the unequal sharing of blue. In an ionic bond, one molecule will take blue and keep them all for themselves. In hydrogen bonds, blue is tossed back and forth due to many quick shares. This is what makes water so unique. Thanks to my mini molecules, no stuffies were harmed in the making of this video.
So by choosing to invite her students into her life and share her kids with her students, which she also references in her introduction video in her liquid syllabus, right? She's bringing in her real world, and she's also creating a video that really kind of takes down that stress level for learning about a concept that may be very abstract. She's using a visual metaphor, which I think works phenomenally well. So keep that in mind as you kind of let your imagination stretch and think about how you could employ bumper videos. And now I'm going to show an example from Charlie Sakari, who's a physics professor at San Francisco State University.
Hi students, so I'm coming to you from my backyard patio down in the South Bay, and it is quite hot today. In fact, we are just coming out of a heat wave right now.
But we have to be careful with the word heat. Remember, heat is a form of energy transfer, not a form of energy itself. When we say we can feel the heat coming from an object, for instance from a hot road, we really mean that we feel the energy transferring from the object to us by heat. Or when we say that we're heating up something on the stove, we really mean that we are transferring energy from the burner or gas into the pot or pan. Remember, heat is part of the first law of thermodynamics, so if we increase the energy transfer by heat, Q, without doing any work, we increase the internal energy of a system. And when a system has a higher internal energy, it will also have a higher temperature. Let's keep this in mind as we go through this week's material.
Okay, another great example where Charlie's pulling in her own presence, right, in her backyard. Again, not showing students where she lives, but using that kind of contextual real life environment to help teach her concept in just a minute.
Let's do a.
And I've got a couple more examples here for you that that you can check out on your own. I'm not going to play these, but there's one here from a history course by Matt Mooney from Santa Barbara Community College, and one from Meg Phelps, who teaches art history at Ventura College. And there's two more here. Mary Poffenroth from Foothill has shared a bumper video that she uses to introduce her literature review paper. And Jeffrey White from Humboldt State, he teaches biology, is introducing his human traits lab and inventory. So some more videos for you to dig into on your own for a little bit more inspiration and think about how you can apply them to your class. I think I saw a question. I happened to look at the chat, which I don't usually do, but I think I saw a question from someone who said, what do we think about using other people's bumper videos? I think using videos from other people in your course is great. I don't have a problem with that. The intention is that the point is that you are intentional about ensuring that your own teaching presence really is in the course in some way. So that's how I would answer that question.
Greetings, bio.
And how to get started with the bumper video. Identify your topic. What is it? What's that laser focused topic? Start with the end in mind. What do you want your students to know or do by the end of it? It is a great idea to either get a USB headset microphone, which looks like this. It's the kind of thing that I try to avoid using when I'm on webcam just because it's so much equipment, but it produces a very high quality voice recording. That implies that you are recording on a computer where you can plug in a USB connection. If you're working on or another option that would work is to have some earbuds with a built-in mic, which is actually what I'm using right now. And that could work on a computer. It could also work on your tablet. So it's not required, but you will notice an audio improvement if you switch over to something with a microphone, as opposed to just using your computer external microphone. So keep that in mind. If this is something that you think, I really like this and I want to make more of those, that's something that you want to think about. You'll want to create your free Adobe Spark account or sign in with your institutional credentials if your college has an Adobe site license. Get ready to just kind of figure out how things work. Play around, experiment. This is all about trial and error. It takes a while to get used to the interface. Find a quiet place to record. That's always important because when there is background noise and, with any video, but with this type of video, your voice is foregrounded, right? It's really important. So the quality is, we want it to be as high quality as possible. And then start recording. You can always re-record anything that you record in Spark. So if you don't like the way it sounds, you can delete that recording and start over again. We also have a storyboard that template that I meant to link here, and I'll have to add that later on. It's just a Google Docs template that you can build a storyboard in for your video. You can print it out and just kind of sketch what you're thinking about putting on each slide. And that will make sense when you see the Adobe Spark interface. And these are just an expanded view of some of these audio quality upgrades. As I mentioned, the earbuds with built-in microphone, and I also mentioned the USB headset. Another option is a lapel microphone, also known as a lavalier microphone. And they're also very affordable, and they can come in handy when you're recording with your phone. If you're going to be putting your phone on a tripod, for example, and kind of standing away at it, then you can have that microphone clipped onto your clothes, and it'll make your audio quality a lot better. That's really helpful if you're recording outside. So the second type of instructional video that we are digging into here today are microlectures. And a microlecture is pretty simple. It's a short recorded audio or video presentation on a single tightly defined topic. Sounds a lot like a bumper video, right? They do allow you to dig a little bit deeper because they're a little bit longer. With microlectures, all students get a front row seat. And I want you to apply that to your discipline and think about, how things work in a classroom and how that's not always the case. So that's one way that microlectures are extremely beneficial in learning. And they support learner variability through visual and auditory content with the option to pause, rewind, and replay. No need to raise your hand and ask for something to be repeated and be judged by everyone around you. Oops. So a couple of things to think about when you're creating micro lectures. The first thing, before you even decide on what tool you're using, is you need to think about what it is that you want to show in your video. The two examples that I have here were recorded with the phone. Let me show you. This is I don't have a slide with this, but this is a tripod that I use for my phone. It's bendy. And if you search for bendy phone tripod, you'll probably find several like it. And so it can wrap around things, or it can actually just sit upright like on its own. And then my phone goes right in here, and it can toggle either way. So I really get a lot of use out of that. I can wrap it around things, and usually find a way to record in any setting that I'm in. But if you do have a higher tripod, like a camera tripod, which usually isn't something that everybody has around these days, they're also very affordable, and they work very well for phone recordings. So a demonstration video is the example over on the left. So if demonstrations are something that are important for your teaching, this is an example of one that Carolyn Brown has contributed and offered to allow me to share with you. She teaches design at Foothill College, and she's showing how to create a potato block print.
You can print with anything that has a flat surface. If you're starting with something like this potato, you'll want to slice it first so that it does have a flat surface. Then use a pencil or marker to draw your letter. Remember to draw it backwards. Make a cut line by tracing your drawing with the point of a knife. Then cut away the area outside of the cut line. Brush some paint onto the letter. Don't worry about being neat, because only the raised letter is going to print. Press the painted letter onto a piece of paper. Your printed letter will be facing the right way.
Now imagine giving that to students as an assignment, right? And having them actually take a picture of their print and sharing it. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And this example over on the right is by Fabiola Torres from Glendale Community College. Fabiola teaches ethnic studies, and she recorded this during COVID. She wanted to take her students on a virtual field trip, and so I'm going to play this for you.
Hello, everyone. So most of you know this as my workspace, but today I'm going to take you on a field trip. You guys ready? Let's go. I'm taking you to my living room. And so my living room has a lot of art, but I'm going to take you to a very special piece that I want to talk about. And this is called Instant Mural by the art collective ASCO. Below is more information on the collective. But let's look at this piece. In our unit, we have been covering art and artists that take what they have and they produce art. Nothing stops them. They have a message to say and they do it, no matter what. So here we have Patsy Valdez, who's being taped on the wall, and this is Gronk. He's taping her. He's putting her up on the wall. He's making her a mural. Okay, and Harry Gamboa took the picture. He documented it.
I'm going to pause there. Pardon me, Fabiola. You've got the video if you want to watch the whole thing. But again, a great example of bringing in your own world. Like, what in your world do you see that offers examples about your content? Like, how can we use the world to teach? and even your very own environment. I love that example by Fabi inviting her students into her living room. And again, these two videos were recorded using a phone. So think about what it is that you want to show in your video, and that will determine the tool that you use to record.
Hello, everyone.
And if you want to show something on your computer, like narrated slides or a whiteboard, then that is an option too. You would not be using your phone for that. You'd be using a piece of software called a screencast recording tool. Screencast-o-Matic is a screencast recording tool that is free. It also has premium options that upgrades the features a bit. And I think the upgraded version for educators is like $20 a year. Canvas Studio is another option for screen recording. It is only available to you if you teach with Canvas and if your institution has it activated inside of Canvas. So that's something you'll want to check out. Camtasia is an upgrade, I should say premium tool. It is not free. And your institution might have a license for that, though. It does have a steeper learning curve, but it also has a lot more features included in it. And there are other options too. And I want to mention Canvas Studio. We had the intention here today to include a breakout session for you to have a demo and try out Canvas Studio if you do have access to that in your Canvas instance. But through our testing over the past couple of days, it wasn't working, and we discovered that same problem in several different Canvas instances. We called Canvas and we weren't able to get it resolved through their support, so we have to put a hold on that demo. We do have some support resources for you for Canvas Studio later in the slides, though, if you want to check that out.
Hi, everybody. This week we're going to be looking at the Rococo style.
Yeah, so I was just going to play a little bit of these videos. Let's take a look at Kara Smolovitz,
which is a French painting style that mostly took place in the 18th century. My goal with this short video is to make sure that you can recognize the French Rococo style in painting when you see it. And that's actually pretty easy. Something I really like about this style is that once you see several of these artworks and learn the main characteristics, if you walk into a museum, you can recognize a Rococo painting from across the room. You don't have to read the label or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and show you several Rococo paintings, and by the end of this short lesson, you should be able to recognize them on sight. Take a look at each of these paintings, just generally. Look around at the colors, the general composition. I'm going to flip through several.
So I'll pause there. I like how Kara demonstrates showing her face for the beginning portion, and then she goes away and her content takes the place of her talking head. So that is something that you can do with screencasting tools. So keep that in mind as something you may want to weave into your practice if you're just getting started. That might be something that you want to strive towards. And this video here is by Sarah Williams, and Sarah teaches math online at Foothill College. And this is a little bit more complicated because it is made using a screencasting tool, which is the software, but it needs she needs another piece of software, the digital whiteboard, which is the thing she's actually writing on. Sarah uses Microsoft OneNote. That's her recommendation. And ideally you'd have that on a tablet that you can write on with a pencil. So I know that's a lot. It is more complicated, but if this is something that's really important for your discipline, then it's something you'd want to understand how to do. So let's just take a quick look at Sarah's video.
I want to talk about the concept of limit as x approaches a of f of x, and how that compares to the concept of f of a. Let me talk about these two concepts. I'll draw a few graphs. This first graph is intended to look just pretty nice and normal. I will call that one g of x. and I'll label my point A. That's a specific value of x, and let's say at A, the height of the function is, I'm just going to give it a number like 8. Okay, so I'll come back and talk about that graph in a second. The second graph I'm going to set up for myself is one that
so as you see, OneNote gives her the capability to scroll and to have more than just what we're seeing on the screen. And that's something that she has said she's found really helpful with OneNote. So that's a 6-minute micro lecture that Sarah created, and Kara's is 4.5 minutes. So how to get started? Again, start with the end in mind. We like to encourage you to think about like backwards course design, right? And think about Bloom's action verb list for guidance. Come up with one learning objective that the students will achieve by the end, and verbalize that. Say that in your video so students know exactly what it is that they're going to take away from it. Think about writing a script or a detailed outline. When I started, I used scripts, but as I got more comfortable in front of the camera, I didn't like how robotic I sounded. They were helpful because they made captioning a lot easier, but I wanted to seem more natural. So I started moving away from scripts and just being very mindful about having an outline about what it is that I wanted to say. So you need to figure out which works for you based upon where you are right now. Decide what you're going to show, right? So that, as we said, is what really kind of triggers the tool that you're going to be using. So be sure that you've got that figured out. Of course, that will also involve preparing your visual materials. Focus your ideas, try to be concise, try to stay on track with what it is that you're, try to stay on track with your targeted outline, and try to aim to keep it within 5 minutes. Make that your goal, and be sure that you then host and caption the video and then embed the video in Canvas course. And so those are those same steps that we started out with by taking a look at the 4 steps to creating a video. Oh, and I should also add, when you put it in Canvas, don't just put the video there, right? Include a context above the video, introduce the video. Here's a 4.5 minute video. In this video, you're going to learn, and then explain exactly what it is that they're going to learn, and keep it contextualized to ensure that students understand how it's building on what they've already learned, and then what they're going to do with it afterwards, where they're going with that knowledge. So as I've mentioned, Screencast-o-Matic is a free option. Again, it's easy to use. There's a paid option. It provides hosting for free for up to 15-minute videos. It will include a small watermark on your video if you have the free option. It's in the corner. It's not a really obnoxious watermark. And you'll want to download your computer and then upload it to your hosting service to be captioned. We have a tutorial in the support resources section of these slides that was contributed by Katie Palacios at Mesa College. So I want to give Katie a huge shout out and thank you for all of her wonderful sharing. And Sean's also going to show you a demo if you want to see how that works. So YouTube, which I assume everybody knows about YouTube these days. It's free, and it is a video hosting service from Google. If that's something that you're comfortable using, it's a great option. I know some folks don't like to use Google stuff, and that's certainly your prerogative too. It's where I host all of my videos. I like having everything in one spot, so I know where to go to find it. It does require you to have a free Google account. And there are privacy options. A lot of times when I'm working with faculty, they shy away from YouTube because they assume everybody will see it. And that's actually not true. The unlisted option that you can set for any video you upload ensures that your students will be able to see it fine, but it's not going to come up in searches, and it's not going to be visible on YouTube if someone were to find your name and go to your channel. So when you go to my YouTube channel, you only see what I have marked public. And then when I go there and log in, I see a lot more. So that's how unlisted works. You can still embed unlisted videos in your course, and they'll display just fine to your students. And as we mentioned with YouTube, when that CC icon pops up in the lower right corner of your video, that means there are captions in place. It takes a little while. Sometimes it takes a long while, but those captions are automated, and YouTube auto captions are not great. They're worse than Canvas Studio. I don't know what's going on and why Google isn't keeping up with the speed of captioning, because they don't include capitals, they don't include periods or any kind of punctuation and grammar. It's just one big long flow of text. And so if you are someone who is leaning on those captions to understand the spoken track, that's problematic. So it is important to go in and edit those captions. And we do have a video later in these slides that shows you how to do that. Oh, and there's a link here to learn how to upload videos to YouTube too. So Canvas Studio, which I've mentioned, can also be used just as a hosting and captioning option if your institution has access to it. It is available inside of Canvas. It supports auto captioning too, that I think is more effective than the auto captions in YouTube, but you do still need to take a look at them because there will be mistakes in them. And yeah, check with your local college if you aren't sure if you have Canvas Studio, because it is something that you can really do a lot of great stuff with in your class video. Okay, I'm going to pause here. We are at the stage where we're going to start our demos, and I'm going to let you think about where you want to go at this point. If you want to learn more about Adobe Spark, see how it works, and have a little bit of your own work time, then you'll stay right here with me. If you want to see how Screencast-o-Matic works and get some hands-on time with that, you're going to go with Sean to his Zoom room. It's a separate link. It's actually not a breakout room here in Zoom. So you'll have to leave this meeting and go to the link that Helen put in chat just a couple seconds ago. And Sean will meet you there. If you're someone who maybe you already kind of know these programs and you just want some quiet work time, feel free to leave this session and then rejoin us. We're going to get back together in 30 minutes at 11:50. So Sean's folks come back at 11:50. And if you decide to leave this room and work on your own in one of these two tools, then you'll want to come back at 11:50 as well. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now. And yeah, I don't see any questions, so we'll go ahead and just migrate on over to that stage.
And I'll record mine.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for remembering that. I knew I'd forget to remind you.
All right, see you in a bit.
Okay, great. I'm going to let everybody make their move here.
And Anne just put a question in about in the Q&A.
If we use Canvas Studio, do we need to learn Adobe Spark? So you will not be able to achieve the same type of video in Canvas Studio that you would achieve in Adobe Spark. So I would say that they're two different tools. So it depends on, again, what it is that you're trying to create. So once you see Spark, you'll have a sense of what you can make. So whoops, that's not what I wanted to show next. Oh, here it is. We are going to go ahead and get started by signing into Adobe Spark. And I have this slide here because I want you to know it is in here. How to sign into Adobe Spark slide. This is not going to stay on my screen, so you might want to, if you have the slides already, go to the slide or just reference it later. I'm going to go to this portal in just a second, but I just want to show you first you go to spark.adobe.com and you've got some options. I recommend that everybody try out log in with school account, which is number 2 on the right side of the screen. And that's where you would enter your institutional credentials. And if that gets you in, you have access to an upgraded version of Spark through your institution. If that doesn't work, however, no worries. What you'll want to do is create your free Adobe account. What I do is click on sign up with email, which is number 3 on the left. You could choose one of the other options up above. You'll just be sharing more of your stuff, which is why I like to do email. And once you have done that and created that free account, that means you've got an Adobe ID. So in the future, when you come back, you'll log in with number 4. Okay. So I think logging in is probably the trickiest part, to be honest, but once you've done it, it makes sense. So we're going to go over to spark.adobe.com. And I'm already logged in. Okay. So I'm going to show you around here. When you get to the point where you want to create your account, when we get to the hands-on time, again, reference that slide. I think it will be helpful to you. So when you log in, you're taken to this dashboard, and let me show you around a little bit. Within Spark, you can create videos. You can also create social banners. It's kind of like Canva. There's different things that you can do. We're going to focus on videos. And over on the left side, you can click on projects to see all of the past things that you've made in Spark. And anything that you've previously made, you can actually duplicate. So once you get a video that you like, you can actually use it as a template for a new video. That's a really cool tip. You can always go back and edit something very easily too. So let's say you export your video, you put it on YouTube, and then 6 months from now, there's one slide that needs to be updated. You can come back into Spark, open that video, and just edit that one slide and then export it again. So it's very user-friendly. You can also create folders for your content and just drag and drop them into folders. What you want to do to get started from anywhere, I'm not going to show these other areas. You click on the blue plus icon on the left side. So I'm going to click there to show you what happens. This is where it shows you all the different kinds of content you can create in Spark. We want video. So I'm going to select video from the drop-down menu. And now Spark, it walks you through some structured options. You can follow these prompts and it'll guide you through how to set up your video. I personally like to start from scratch because whenever I feel like I do it the way they want me to do it, I end up changing and doing it my own way anyway. So this is something you'll want to experiment with, but what I usually recommend that people do is click on skip and then start from scratch. So again, there's more templates here you could pick. I click start from scratch at the bottom. And that takes us into, there's one more step. It's going to show you a tutorial. I recommend watching this. I'm not going to watch it right now, but I love that there are these little tutorials embedded in here. So check out this little 1-minute video just before you get started. And then when you see this, this is the create interface. So let me show you around here a little bit. This is the slide that I'm working on right now. Down here at the bottom of the screen is our timeline. And you'll see that at the end, there's a slide titled outro. And if I click there, you'll see that it's where Adobe Spark puts its branding. And then every video has a credit slide. If you start pulling in media from Adobe's library, like images, it will add attribution for you if that's required for that media. So that's really nice. You can also add your own credits at the end. So this slide here is the one that we're working on. If I want to add more slides, I would click on this plus icon. So I'm going to make a video with a few slides in it here. So I'm just going to click that plus icon and you can see how it's adding slides, right? So now I've got slide 1, 2, 3, 4, and then my credits and my outro. So let's click on slide 1. When you click on the slide in the timeline, up above you have these options. These options where it says video, text, photo, icon, this is where you add the visual content, what people see to your slide. I'm going to also show you the right side of the screen now. Okay, so we've looked at the left side. Over on the right side in this column, there's 4 tabs. There's layout, theme, resize, and music. If you're on layout, you can choose a different layout for the slide that you're on. So if I click split screen, you'll see what happens. And so now this is what this slide looks like. So what I'm going to do over here on the right is add a video on the right side of my slide. I could choose text, photo, or an icon, but I'm going to choose video. And then that's asking me, oh, you must have something on your computer that you want to upload. So I've got this little 10-second video that I recorded this morning using my webcam. And I'm going to open that. This is a 10-second video, so it lets me pick which part of the video I want. You can trim the beginning and the end as needed. And then click save. Again, short video clips if you're going to pull those in. And then over here on the right, I can click on that plus icon and type a brief phrase. Now, do you see how that's left aligned? If I click on it and nudge it briefly, I can make it centered. So that's my slide 1. Now what I do is record my audio for that slide. And I do that simply by clicking on the microphone icon at the bottom and speaking. And actually, I'm not going to record audio on that one because I have sound in my video, sorry. But if I wanted to, I would do that. So this one I'm not going to record audio on. I'm going to now click on slide 2. And for this one, I'll do split screen again. And on the left side, this time, how about we click on icon and I'll show you what that does. Over here on the right, that takes us out to the icon search. So you can enter a word in here that relates to the icon that you're looking for, and you can scroll through and find something. And when you find something you like, you just click on it and it pulls the icon in. On the left, you can put another icon or you can put text. I'm going to add text here. And then click outside the box, and then to center it, click and just drag it slightly. And then I can go to the third slide, and here we can, let's see what happens when we leave it full screen, but add a photo. If you click on photo, it takes you to the free photo database. I recommend using the free photo database. As you poke around, I'm going to click the back arrow up here on the right, in the right column. You'll see that there's also this Adobe stock option. If you click there, you're going to find some great images, but there's going to be a big watermark over every image in your video. So I don't recommend that option. You want to stay in the find free photos area. And let's see, here I want a picture of the number 1. And I'll put that there. And I realized that I forgot to record my sound on that last video. So I'm going to go back to slide 2 and record that. And your students, thank you too. I can play that back. And your students, thank you too. Okay. And then I'm going to click on that number 1 image, the slide 3, and record this sound. There's just one more thing we'd like you to do for us. Play it back. There's just one more thing we'd like you to do for us. Oops. Now, if you don't like that, you just push the red record button and record again. You do have to keep your finger on record as you're speaking. You'll figure that out. Okay. Yeah, so that's kind of how this works. I don't want to take up much more time here because I want you to have time to play. So let me show you a few additional steps when you're done with your video. If we go to theme, you can choose a different theme simply by clicking on another option, and it'll just kind of, you'll see now that things look a little different, and you can choose another color from that theme. So that's kind of fun to play around with. Over in music, if you don't like the music, if you want it to turn off, you can turn it off. When you leave the music on, I highly recommend reducing the volume to something very low so it doesn't compete with your voice. And that'll take some time, but after you reduce the volume, you can play things back. And your students, thank you too. You can kind of just experiment and see how that works. I'm going to see if I have any questions right now.
Quite a few.
Oh, okay. You can import your own photos. Let me show you how to do that. You go back to, well, you have to click on photo. Let me go back here. Let me go to a new slide and click on photo. And then you go back and choose upload. Okay. And let's see. Can you import? I did that one. You mentioned videos will be short. Should all videos be pre-recorded? Okay, so the question is, yeah, that's a good question. To my knowledge, there's no way to record a video straight into Spark. I think that's what the question is. So they would have to be pre-recorded, and you could record them on your phone. And actually a tricky way to, an easy way to get them into your Adobe Spark is to actually have the app on your phone, and you can open the same project on your phone and drag the video in that way. I uploaded the video from my computer. So if I were to add a video again right here, I would click on video, and it just basically prompts you to upload something. Okay. And I guess that didn't get shared, sorry. Yeah, so what happens is when you click there, what I see is it shows my desktop, and I pick or it shows my computer, so I browse for it to find the video file. The resolution of the video is a good question. I'm feeling like if you have an upgraded account, and I'm going from memory here, you actually get a higher res video. So that is one of the benefits, but I think it works just fine, the free version resolution in Canvas. Do students have free access to this tool? It's a free tool. If your institution has a site license that also includes student accounts, they can sign in with their institutional account. If students don't have access to your institution, they'd be required, you'd have to have them create their own account. So that's something you have to think about, because that does involve the exchange of personal information. So it's always ideal for everything to be tied to the institution, but that depends on the access that you have at your institution. I'm going to encourage us to go to the hands-on time now. So I'm going to pause and try to answer some questions through writing as you work. Okay, so I'm going to let you work now until 11:35. And I'm going to stop sharing, but I want to remind you that this slide is here if you get stuck with the login step. And we're going to work now for about 15 minutes, okay? So I want you to have an opportunity to create something. Just realized I forgot to show you how to export. When you're ready to download your video, you just click on download here, okay? I'm gonna let you play now. Okay, so I hope everybody had a productive experience. It sounds like some folks got a little held up with the Adobe app. So Adobe Spark app. Let me clarify one thing about Spark. When I signed in and I showed you around Adobe Spark, I explained how you could create videos as well as other types of media. So there's actually a few different Spark apps on mobile. So if you're on mobile, you actually want the Adobe Spark video app. So my apologies for not being clear about that. This, let me go back, is a little video that I put together this morning for you all with Adobe Spark. And this is going to be our cool down. Thanks for being part of Fall into Humanized Online Teaching, a pathway to equity. And your students thank you too. Before you go, there's one more thing we'd love for you to do. Reflect on your learning and tell us one thing you've learned in this series that you feel most proud of. And share it on our Padlet. So we have a Padlet that we'd like to invite you to share on, and you can scan that QR code with your phone, or you can go to our Padlet link that Helen just put in the chat. And we'd love for you to just reflect on what you've learned in our Fall into Humanized Online Teaching, a Pathway to Equity series. Think about what you're most proud of and share it with us on the Padlet. We look forward to seeing what you share. And oh, that goes to another Zoom. Okay, let's try that again.
Sorry, I must have put the wrong link. Let me figure it out.
Surprise, surprise. Thanks, Helen. So as you folks work on that, I'm going to take a look and see if anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask. We'd like to now allow you to raise your hand. Helen, if you could activate that feature. Folks, you can click on raise hand if you'd like to speak or question.
Hold on, I can't type and do that at the same time. Give me one second.
Come on, Helen.
Okay, you can now raise your hand if you have a question.
Oh, Kathy, you mentioned Animoto. I love Animoto. That's another tool. And if you're going to use Animoto, if you want to play with that, do a search for Animoto free educator account, because they'll give you an upgraded account that is much better for free if you sign up using your email address, and you have to go through the request process. But yeah, Animoto is awesome. I haven't used it in a while, but I'm a big fan of it. So Pamela is asking if I can recommend academic literature on video bumps. Do you mean bumper videos? Is that what you mean by that? If so, I have no idea. I don't have any access to that stuff. Yeah, you'd probably find some references to brief video clips in research about universal design for learning though, but I don't have any offhand, sorry.
Sheila has her hand up.
Oh, thank you. Sheila, I'm gonna allow you to talk.
Thank you. I was just desperate to find that. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I just wanted to know, you mentioned about hosting videos on YouTube and all of that. I didn't hear you talk about 3C Media, but could you address that if you haven't already?
Yeah, there is a tool. Let me go to Tech Connect. If you work in the California Community College system, and I know we have some folks here who don't, but if you do, whoops, that's not the right one. CCC Tech Connect is our system-wide project that offers Zoom to everyone in our system. And they also offer something called Tech Connect Cloud. and it is a resource that you can upload videos to as well. It's not one that I personally use a lot because most of the videos I host are for professional development, and this is purposefully intended for instructional videos. I could upload stuff here, but I couldn't use the captioning. It's kind of complicated. But yes, you can use this service to create a free account and upload videos there. And then as long as your institution has the Canvas LTI for Tech Connect Cloud, which may still be called 3C Media Solutions. They just went through a name change. It's a little complicated, but there's an LTI that allows you to embed videos into Canvas through Tech Connect Cloud.
And can you then use those in Adobe Spark?
So Tech Connect Cloud is just for hosting, not recording. So if you're in Spark, you have to upload a recorded video. So if you're using Tech Connect Cloud, you already have a video that you want to upload, right? And it's the video file that you can upload into Spark, but Spark is made for like 10-second video clips. Don't think about like doing a 5-minute video even and loading it into Spark. That doesn't work. So think about Tech Connect as the hosting step, the hosting and the captioning step, not the recording part.
True. Yeah. Thank you.
Does that help? I know it's complicated.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's actually why I kind of limited the things I spoke about, because the more you talk about, the more confusing it gets. But I hope that helps a little bit.
Thank you.
Michelle,
Yes.
several people are asking about the storyboard template that I guess you forgot to include somewhere.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have that as a resource, so I can't put it in chat or anything.
I'm going to make a note. I have to go search for it, but I will find it and I will link it to that slide. Okay. I'm making a note. I promise today I will get it linked. I will also add it in the support resources section of our slides, so you don't have to actually look around for the link. So let me show you what I'm talking about. In the slides, there's a blue slide that says support resources, and we've got lots of tutorials and goodies in that section to help you move forward. You'll find info there about how to auto caption YouTube, how to correct YouTube auto captions also. I'm going to take one more question from Norianne. I said your name right. If I didn't, correct me, please. Norianne.
First name is Nima.
Oh, it's flipped. Okay, Nima. Hi.
Hi. Nice presentation. So my question is, I record my lectures, which sometimes could be 2 hours or even longer in one video. So I'm not sure how these little videos would work with that. Are you saying it's this would be a supplement, a complement, or a substitution?
Nima, you're not going to like my answer. I'm going to say that right now. My advice for you is to start getting rid of your 2-hour lectures and to start developing short videos that support your students to achieve the same learning outcomes, but chunked up into smaller pieces. It's the best way to support our students' learning. There is research that shows by like a few minutes, people tune out of videos, and that it's actually getting lower and lower. Video is different than having a person sit in front of you, and 2 hours when a person's in front of you is hard enough, right? And I wouldn't say that that's even an effective way to support learning, but really take a step back. You've got those videos in place, and think about how you could start with one of them and break it up into smaller chunks. Aim for 5 minutes. It may seem not feasible, but the more you really think about the content in that video and make a list of what the students are expected to know or do by the end, that's the list that you use to guide these smaller videos. And that's the direction we all need to be headed in to support our students. So I know you didn't like that answer, but.
Oh, actually, that's an eye-opening suggestion. So.
Oh, good. Well,
food for thought.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of work. But yes,
Yeah.
that's
Another
that's-
perk to that chunking is it's so much easier to then update and add things because you don't have to re-record the whole 2 hour. You just swap out a little chunk video. So it really will actually save you in the long run, Nima.
That's correct. Thank you, Helen.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
your
Michelle.
question, Nima. Okay, thanks everyone for being here. We all always appreciate you. And since this is our last one, it's a little bittersweet, and it's really fun to take a look at the Padlet. I love the rolling panda bear GIF that's at the top, but I'll put the Padlet link again in the chat so you can take a look at it and maybe reflect on it. And you can add a little heart to anyone's comment or leave a reply to anyone if you would like to respond to anything that they shared. Take care, everyone, and keep on humanizing. I hope to see you on Twitter, or if you're out there in the Twitterverse, use that hashtag #HumanizeOL, and let's stay connected. Bye.